Good evening, or morning, or whatever time of the day it happens to be. Welcome, one, welcome all to the Writer's Bleck podcast. My name is Greg Nikes, and we are back for another supplemental episode this week, and next week, and the week after that. Because apparently, I don't know the meaning of the phrase "take a break" or "off season" or any of that jazz. That all seems like nonsense, silly, made up words that I don't understand. Look, I'll take a break when interesting people stop agreeing to have conversations with me. How about that? Such is the case with today's guest, guys. I am sitting down with author Tiffany Jackson to talk about her latest work, Ghost in the Night. We'll discuss the literary influences that helped Tiffany find her style as a writer, what it's like following up an award-winning piece with something brand new, what she learned during her Ghost in the Night research in Savannah, Georgia, and so much more. If you're enjoying the Writer's Block podcast, please consider leaving us a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Follow along with us over on social media. We are at Writer's Block Pod on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook. And you can get involved with the show by sending an email to writersblockpod@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. All right, guys, with all of that out of the way, all the housekeeping, all the kerfuffle, all the that nonsense, let's get into today's conversation with Tiffany Jackson. So with your latest release, Ghost in the Night, you are well into double digits on the amount of books you released, and the sheer quantity is just super impressive. With writers like you who have such an output and such a distinct voice, I'm always curious about the people who inspired the artist. Who is on your Mount Rushmore of writers and artists, and where does Mariah Carey fit on that Mount Rushmore for you?
I could put Mariah Carey into that Mount Rushmore because I was thinking of just authors, but you know what? That makes a lot of sense, actually. Because she has been like a soundtrack of my life, right? Along with Beyonce. Okay, so for authors, I definitely want to put Toni Morrison, R.L. Stein, Jessamine Ward, and Stephen King.
Pretty solid base.
Yeah, it's very it's all over the place, but yeah, it works.
So you started writing at a very early age, and then decided to pursue a film degree, and now you kind of dabble in both roles professionally. Does having that mindset when it comes to the visual style of script writing, does that help you at all? How much do you think that helps you with writing your novels?
It was actually my only form of writing training. I didn't get my MFA. I didn't go to school for creative writing. I'm a film school nerd, both bachelor's and master's. So I learned how to write by learning how to screenwrite. Books are very much like screenplays, just in a fleshed out form. And so, really, my mentorship has been reading other people's books, like, exploring other people's reading mentorship texts, reading a whole heap of thrillers and mysteries, and exploring those type of books. That's the way I learned how to write. So when people always ask me, like, how do you learn how to write? I'm always like, what are your favorite books? Like, study those giants and study how they craft. And when I say study, I mean not just like enjoy the book, like dive deep into the way that they plot and what their subplots look like and their character development. Like, really look at a book and pull it apart, as if you were pulling apart like a recipe.
So Ghost in the Night, your latest work, introduces readers to harmony and an unforgettable supernatural mystery. Without giving too much away, can you introduce us to your latest protagonist and her journey the journey she's about to take?
Sure. So Harmony Roundtree is a 12-year-old girl from Harlem who is very much obsessed with ghosts. She loves going on ghost tours, and she's following around her blues playing father to Savannah, Georgia. And on a ghost tour in Savannah, the budding photographer takes a photo, and she thinks the photo may be of a ghost, but it may be something that's actually going to open up the doors to solving a potential murder mystery. And she is sort of, with the help of her friends, trying to figure it out.
You have such a talent for writing horror or those more supernatural elements, but for a younger audience. Is it ever difficult for you to kind of balance, here's how much we give for this particular age group, or figuring out kind of where a line is for how much to give away with the horror elements of things?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I don't know what I'm doing. And that is why we have editors. This I often feel like, is this too much or is this like, and I mean, I was a kid who read adult books at a very early age. I basically went from reading R.L. Stein to Stephen King and nothing in between by the age of like 11 and 12. So for me, I feel like I wish there was that middle ground that could have like a soft place to land somewhat. And so I'm trying to write the books that like fit into that gap. Like fit into the you're mature enough to understand these concepts, but you're not mature enough to kind of see some polysyllabic words or do things that, when people start talking about marriages and business, dealings, you don't need to deal with that. But there is a place for you here in this
Yeah.
gap that I'm trying to fill.
Yeah. And Harmony, throughout the story, she grows and develops so much. What do you hope that readers learn from her, and what do you think makes her someone that young people can relate to?
I think the first thing that people should hopefully learn from Harmony is that grief looks differently on everyone. That grief sort of can take different shapes and colors. And you're allowed to grieve the way that you need to grieve. Harmony is currently grieving the death of her grandmother and sort of just trying to like navigate that. Two, that it's okay to sort of like go after what you want and search for answers. I think around this age, this is like a fact-finding mission for a lot of kids, and adults, honestly. So it's sort of like the perfect mashup of that. So I'm hoping that people take that away from this as well, too.
So Savannah, Georgia is the main setting of this book, and it's well known for its spookier repertoire. And in researching for this book, you went on ghost tours. Did you happen to have a favorite ghost tour or a favorite tidbit that you learned along the way?
So one of my favorite tidbits and I've mentioned this also in the book is I spoke with someone that has like a PhD in paranormal like activity and stuff like that. And one of the
Mm,
things that he mentioned is that sometimes, the question of if ghosts are real or not. And one of the things that, I took away from this conversation is that a lot of times people who see ghosts often are grieving something. So a lot of times when people think that they've seen a ghost or experienced something that's paranormal, is actually a part of like grief hallucination. So that was really interesting that, maybe like, seven out of every 10 people who see a ghost, seven of them had most recently had some sort of grief happen to them, whether they lost someone within the last like, 6 to 12 months. So it's very interesting, like to think about like, oh, are we actually seeing a ghost or experiencing something, or are we all just like grieving together? So that was a very interesting tidbit that I took away. Another tidbit that I took away during a tour is the fact that the city of Savannah is mostly built on top of like a giant graveyard, for lack of a better word. That there were so many plagues and so much war and so much that happened in the city that there wasn't enough like space for to put all the bodies. So you can be walking along any sort of like brick path and you're walking over hundreds of bodies. Hence why the city, since it's so old, is so haunted.
when it comes to writing that grief, just kind of dialing back a little bit, how difficult was that for you to kind of project? I guess similar to the question about how much do you put down with horror towards a younger audience, how do you relate grief to a younger audience? And was there a specific memory or feeling you were channeling when writing to this character?
I wasn't specifically channeling any memory per se. I do think that about, I did have a very close relationship with my grandmother, so I know the feeling of losing someone that you're so close to. But I think the biggest thing that I realized around that time is, or for kids specifically, is that when they are going through something that could be traumatic or, hurtful, they tend to lean into the unknown and they tend to like zero in and sort of obsess about things, and that's somewhat of what Harmony is doing here, is that she's starting to dive deep into ghost lore, because that is the one of the best ways to get away from grief, is to dive deep into something that's very different from what you're actually experiencing.
In this book, it followed a tremendous success with Blood in the Water, which won the 2026 Edgar Award for the Best Juvenile Mystery. Did the acclaim for that book create any extra pressure when it came to writing this one?
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course. The one thing about sophomore projects for any artist, whether they are authors or musicians, is the pressure that comes with it. Because, sometimes that first project, that debut is the magic. It's a magic that you build in your own little like silo. But then the sophomore project is a project that you build with everyone watching you. So yeah, there's definitely there's a difference, and I am hoping that readers appreciate this book even more than my first one. But I'm hoping they appreciate the magic that also happens in this book.
I think they will. I think you've done a tremendous job with this book. Tiffany, I know we didn't have you for long, but thank you so much for joining us today on the podcast. Where can our listeners go to find more from you, go to find the book, go to find all the cool stuff you're working on?
So you can follow me on social media on TikTok, Instagram, and Threads at Write and BK. That's WRITEINBK. And I'm also on writeandbk.com. So you can just find me either way.
Fantastic. Tiffany, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.